I did an unboxing of this watch not so long ago. It is a very interesting watch, and there are very few other sellers on AliExpress that offer homages to Rolex Explorer 2 with such a set of specifications. It is also one of the new premium Pagani design watches, I believe, and it is almost twice as expensive as another Pagani design GMT watch I have in my collection. So what's going on here? Is Pagani design still a king of value? Well, in this video we'll try to find out. Hello and welcome to the channel. Before we jump into this video, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Price. I did buy this watch on AliExpress and I will leave a link to the listing in the description. This watch is available in 2 colorways and in 2 options, old packaging and new one, which will cost you about $10 more. The old box was okay. I personally went with a simple packaging. I guess the new box is better suited as a gift, so I wouldn't totally dismiss it. At least now we have a choice. So the watch is priced somewhere around $140 US. However, with the discounts and coupons, as usual, you should be able to knock off about $10 from the listing price. In the box, as I mentioned, I opted for a simple packaging and we get usual attributes: branded cloth, user manual, which still doesn't cover how to set a GMT function on this watch. I actually went through the process in my unboxing video of this watch and I will leave a link in the description to that video. We also get an unsigned warranty card and a screwdriver. The screwdriver is a nice touch, however, it is a bit too big for the bracelet screws. It can still be used, of course, but it would be better if it was the right size. And of course we have the watch with stickers and the tag. Also, I bought this watch when they only came out and I didn't get an optional strap, as you would if you buy this watch now. Dimensions. The case is 42mm in diameter, definitely not a small watch. We have 20mm lugs, the case height is 12.5mm, nice and slim, and shoots a lot under the cuff with no problem. Lug tip to lug tip is just under 50mm, however, the protruding end links have a distance of almost 55mm between them. The end links do curve down and the slim profile allows for this watch to sit nice and flat on the wrist. Still, 55mm is quite a distance. Notably, Pagani Design ships this watch with a strap, making it more versatile when it comes to various wrist sizes. I will do some more wrist shots on my about 7-inch wrist and on a 6.25-inch wrist later in this video. The supplied stainless steel bracelet tapers down to about 18mm at the clasp, and we have a 20mm double pusher clasp here. The full-length bracelet is actually quite generous and should cover about a 9-inch wrist or about 23 cm, so guys with larger wrists should be totally okay with this one. On a fully supplied stainless steel bracelet, this watch weighs about 179 grams and 155 grams after it is adjusted to my about 7-inch wrist, which is actually quite a good weight for a sport-style watch. Dial. As we've got used to seeing from Pagani Design, a very clean execution, printed minute chaptering and applied hour indices. The wording is concise and to the point. Probably 4 lines at the bottom of the dial is a bit over the top, however, the orange accents of the GMT wood breaks it down somewhat and works nicely with the orange GMT hand. Again, a familiar set of Mercedes and Lollipop hands. Other than the orange hand, all other hands are black and filled with white lume. I find the dial very legible and easy to read. We have a date window at 3 o'clock, the date cutout is clean and the date font is nice and crisp. Where I think it falls a bit short is the date cyclope. The magnification is not as big as we probably wanted it to be, and there are all kind of reflections that make the date not as legible as the rest of the dial. In terms of any quality control issues, I could not spot any imperfections on the dial with the naked eye, and even under magnification, the dial looks very clean. And of course, the lume. The lume on this watch is maybe a bit better than on other Pagani Design watches, but not by much. Also, it is not initially visible, however, I think there is some inconsistency in lume on this particular watch on the 12 o'clock marker. Other than that, as I already mentioned, the overall quality of this watch is pretty good. Crystal. We have a flat sapphire crystal here. It sits ever so slightly proud of the fixed bezel, which should help to somewhat shield the bezel from scratches. Pagani Design reckons they use some kind of Swiss air coating here. It is quite possible. The crystal deals with suppressing reflections quite well and makes the watch very legible at various viewing angles. We have a date window cyclope, which is also made from sapphire, which is good. However, the cyclope is probably one of the least impressive parts of this watch. As I mentioned earlier, the magnification and the actual date visibility due to all kinds of reflections are far from ideal. And to top it all up, because it is difficult to see the frame of the date cutout in the dial, I'm not sure if the cyclope on this watch is 100% aligned. I think it is, but then again, it is hard to tell. Moving on to the case, I think here where some of the premium price possibly went into. We have a stainless steel construction with brushed top and mirror polished flanks. The quality of the finishing is pretty good. The transition between the faces are smooth and brushing and polishing is quite consistent as well. We have fixed bezel with 24-hour markers. I must say that the quality of the radial brushing is very good, and I even heard it is not that far from the actual Rolex Explorer 2 quality, which is quite amazing, I must say, taking into account the price point of this watch. The hour markers are engraved, and we have a mirror-polished bevel edges of the bezel, giving it a nice break between the brushed top of the bezel and the brushed top of the case. We have signed crown, which is protected by crown guards. Pagani Design has a couple of types of signed crowns, and this one is my favorite. Very clean and distinct, what looks like a laser-etched engraving. A note on the crown: the Pagani Design shop I bought this watch from now ships all these models with screw-down crowns. I think they even referred as version 2. The link to the listing is in the description. If you decide to purchase this watch from another seller, do check with them if the crown is indeed screwed down, because the early batches of this watch had just a simple push-pull crown like this one I have here. Moving on to the back of the case, we have a circular brushing and a screw-on see-through back case. Pagani Design declares 100 meters of water resistance on this watch, which makes this watch, of course, very practical and suitable for swimming. Movement. Looking through the see-through back case, we can see the DG5833A movement. This is a very common movement on the budget GMT watches on AliExpress. It is pretty cheap too, so probably don't expect miracles of reliability from this one. Having said that, this is my third watch with such a movement, and one of them, this Batman GMT watch, I actually use quite often, and I haven't had any issues yet. I will leave a link to the review of this watch in the description. As with most mechanical automatic movements, it is important to take care when setting the date and the GMT time to ensure that we are not in the so-called danger zone. As I mentioned earlier, I covered this in my unboxing video. I will leave a link in the description to that video as well. In regards to the specs, it is a mechanical automatic movement with a fully functional GMT complication. That is, we can adjust the GMT hand independently. This movement is hackable and hand-windable. It beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour and has a power reserve of about 40 hours. It is also surprisingly accurate, taking into account the price point of this watch. Here it is on the time grapher. Yep, I will take this any day. Thank you very much, Pagani Design. Bracelet. Well, continuing the premium theme, we have a really well-executed bracelet here. This bracelet definitely has a better build compared to some of my other Pagani Design watches. We have solid end links that comply well with the lug shape. Then we have solid links that are connected with screws. This is a fully brushed oyster-style bracelet. The links are solid and somewhat chunky, and at the same time have a very pleasant finish. There are no sharp edges or any hair pulling going on here. Looking at the clasp, I'm pretty sure I've seen this style clasp before on another Pagani Design watch, this Tag Heuer Atavia homage. It is quite a robust and functional double pusher clasp. It has a nice and slim profile. There are 3 micro adjustments, and it even features a diver's extension, although I'm not quite sure how useful this diver's extension is on this type of watch. Well, maybe if you would want to wear this watch over your jacket when you go exploring, well, maybe then this extension might come in handy. Here is this 42mm watch on my about 7-inch wrist, and I like the way it fits on my wrist. It does not feel overly large, although I have to say I am used to wearing large watches of up to 44mm in diameter. And here for reference, this watch on 6¼ wrist. As you can see on the bracelet, this 42mm watch somewhat pushes the boundaries for slim wrists. Okay, the good, the bad, and well, just before we jump into the conclusion part of this review, if you find this video helpful, do give us a like, it is absolutely free. Well, I was very excited when this watch came out. As you can see, I bought the version 1 with a push-pull crown the moment I saw it listed on AliExpress. I like GMT complication, I use it personally quite a lot, and I also like the clean design and the look of this watch, even though, of course, very little credit goes to Pagani Design for this look. I like that the watch is quite prominent and has a good wrist presence, and at the same time it is comparatively slim and will fit under a shirt cuff with no problem at all. And a very good execution and finishing of the case and the bracelet is an added bonus in my opinion, and of course not to forget a pretty decent quality control on this particular watch, although truth be told, with a fixed bezel and a double pusher clasp there is definitely much less room for any quality control issues. Now let's briefly talk about where I think this watch could have been done better. Well, I like the clasp, it is robust and functional, however I think a different clasp, more in style, with the aesthetics of this watch would be more suitable. What do you think? Please let us know in the comments. Also, I'm not fully convinced about the Cyclops execution. It is kind of okay, but just about. But maybe I'm asking too much at this price point, and talking about the price, well, this is definitely one of the better watches I've reviewed from Pagani Design, but what do you think? Does a better finish and better quality control warrants those extra $40 or so? A lot of reviewers, even probably including myself, ask for a premium quality from Pagani Design for potentially some extra price. Well, looks like Pagani Design tried to deliver the premium. Well, I think they somewhat did, but also I think there is still room for more. What do you think? Please let us know in the comments. And if you find this review helpful, do smash that like button and of course subscribe if you haven't already done so, and as always, thank you for watching, take care, and I will see you in the next one.